First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Jeff Miller, professor at Utica College. He's on the line right now. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
Did you know Bird Dog? Did you have any idea?
It's before my time, but yeah, I do know it.
Yeah. It's before my time as well.
That's the common theme.
But, think about the song by Bill Haley and the Comets, Rock Around the Clock. Ever heard of it? Of course it was before our time, but we all heard the stuff.
Westwood Jungle.
You have no choice but to know this music. Okay. So after being on pause last year because of COVID, film at UC, which is a long-standing tradition in the community, is coming back. Am I correct? We're going back with this.
That's right. Greatest, best-kept secret in the area. We're coming up on almost 50 years of a free campus film series.
Wow, I guess we didn't know about that.
I'm ashamed to say I didn't. No.
So explain what the series is.
So basically what we do is we have, did I mention it's free? I think so.
You did not, or maybe you did, but it should be emphasized.
Yeah, so it's a free film series that's open to the public. We're going to be observing good COVID protocol on campus, but the films are open to everyone in the surrounding community. We've got about 125 seats in a fully digital auditorium on campus, and it's free. Did I mention that?
You
free
did, yeah.
So just making sure I'm getting that in there.
Nice emphasis right there.
We do 8 films every semester. It starts on September the 2nd. It's every Thursday night at 7 o'clock in McFarland Auditorium. And I spend several months out of every year digging for films that are difficult to find anywhere else. And, in fact, this semester, as usual, we've got 1 or 2 that we're basically the only place in the country that has them.
Really? Wow, that's very cool. Because we have the situation here where you will see a lot of films that you might be able to see in a Boston, a New York, maybe a Syracuse, but probably not even Syracuse. A lot of these movies don't get here, and if it weren't for institutions like yours doing movies like this, we'd never get to see them.
Yeah, that's true, and I take that very seriously. Especially breaks my heart. I know a lot of films show up on, the Hulus and the Netflixes, but then I see college students in between classes watching a film on their phone, which breaks my heart. I can't imagine being a filmmaker and making this work of art only for it to be watched on that tiny little screen. Must be devastating, but I think there's still something special about being in an actual movie theater in the dark, watching a film on a giant screen. Especially, I love the Avenger movies as much as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to make sure that I program films that, like you said, they don't even come to the larger cities, in upstate New York.
Right. And can you go over what you're going to be the dates and the films that are coming up here?
Yeah, so it's every Thursday, starting September the 2nd, and it runs all the way through the 21st of October. So that's 8 weeks in a row. Every film is free. I think I mentioned that. Actually, the one I'm super excited about, I have to admit, every semester I program one film that I can't wait to show, and there's always one that makes me very, very nervous. But, I've been doing this for 20-plus years, so, you get over the nerves after a while.
Yeah.
I've got a documentary on the 14th of October. I know that's far down the road, but it's called Sabaya, and I'll guarantee you've never seen a film like this before. It's a documentary about a group of men that are risking their lives in the Al-Hol refugee camp in northern Syria. Basically, with a mobile phone and a handgun, these guys have gone into the refugee camp trying to locate and free women and girls that are being held as sex slaves by ISIS, who live in that refugee camp and essentially, sort of run the camp as almost like a organized crime syndicate.
Wow.
It is the most heart-pounding film you've ever seen in your life, and you got to keep reminding yourself that this is not fiction. This is real.
That's got to be that's got to be incredibly emotional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you see a filmmaker risking their life right on screen for you, you gotta admire that. But I try to show films from all over the world. In 20 years, I've shown films from about 120 countries or so. And of course, they make terrible movies everywhere. We make terrible movies too.
Yeah.
But I try to find really great films. The first film, which is going to be September the 2nd, I will tell you, it's actually taken me almost 2 years to get this film. We're the only place in the U.S. that's got it because it doesn't have a distributor in the United States. But it's called Lunana. It's the most charming little movie I've ever seen. And if anyone knows the country of Bhutan, which is way up in the Himalayas, it's one of these terrific little movies about a young man who's a teacher, and he's from the capital city, and he gets assigned to what is literally the most remote school in the world, way up in the mountains. Boy, if you ever want to be inspired about how to reach out to young people and be part of a community, and there's a little bit of a hint of finding love at the same time. It's just a terrific film. It's one of the movies that when I watch it, I think, boy, if they ever remade that in Hollywood, it'd be a sure winner, but it'd be a sin to remake it because it's just so well done.
I'm very interested on the October 21st. This is not a movie. Robert Fisk and the Politics of Truth. Can you talk about that one?
Yeah, well, documentary about Robert Fisk, who just passed away, I want to say, was it last year? 40-year veteran war correspondent, who admittedly saw the very worst of humans, and yet, inevitably comes out in the film of being optimistic about the role that journalism can play in the world. And especially nowadays, boy, we really need to have a clear view of what's happening on the planet. And people like Robert Fisk, they spent their whole lives devoted to going to the most dangerous places on Earth and showing us what's happening so we can make wise decisions as citizens and heaven forbid, even talk with our friends on Facebook in ways that are factual.
Right.
But really powerful film. Here's a guy who risked his life for 4 decades just trying to show people how war devastates everyone involved.
So Mike would like to know if your films are free or what's the cost?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've already got plans for the jackpot for Powerball, so I honestly don't care. But they are free.
Take the lump sum.
They are free. Yes, take the lump sum.
Yeah. So for the last 21 years, I've charged $0 for anyone who's ever want to come to the film series. And now that we're open again to the public, I'd love to see folks in the community come in. We won't charge you a dime. There's free parking. It's air conditioned. It's fully digital, and we show films that you're not going to find anywhere else.
And what do you think of? You mentioned earlier about how kids today are watching movies on a phone. And
they don't do them justice.
It's impossible. I feel like it's impossible to hear things that need to be heard. It's impossible to see things that need to be seen because the screens are so small. The definition is incredible, by the way, on these phones. It is incredible, but it's still just not large enough. There is, I think, and we've all been worrying, and maybe people don't care. I'm a big fan of going to the movies. Worrying that maybe the end of going to a theater has finally arrived, and COVID really put the nail in the coffin. I don't think so. I think their move to make it a different experience, the incredible, comfortable seats you get to sit in, maybe fewer people in a theater. I think that experience is not dead. What are your thoughts?
Well, my first thought is I would hate to be a sound designer. I would hate to be designing sets for films knowing that no one's going to see or hear any of that on their phone. I mean, sure, my phone's got great definition on the screen too, but I don't know. I got a feeling talking to younger people, that there's a certain cachet of going to the movies. It's a thing. I mean, geez, think when we were kids. My goodness, how many times did you go to see Star Wars?
Yeah, I know.
Never
over and over and over. Yeah. And there was something great about being in a dark theater watching a movie on a huge screen like that. And I think it's super great that there's places around this area. I'm thinking the Capitol Theater, I'm thinking the Munson and Utica College and Hamilton College that offers this amazing cultural resource. If you really look into the number of free or relatively inexpensive films that you can watch in the course of the week from all over the planet, every kind of genre, it's the resource, if you love film, we're actually in a really good place in upstate New York. And the other thing I was going to say is, even if you can't see all the great background or hear all the great sound, often it's the story that matters most. So if a filmmaker has a great story, that's what drives people to want to watch and to participate. And I hope people will embrace that. We're starting to come back out, right? And something like a movie at UC is a great way to get back out in the community. And you're right, it's not 400 people packed in a room. But, on a Thursday night, depending on the film, we do a pretty healthy 35 to 50 people usually. And on a Thursday night in Utica, that's not bad.
No, that is not bad at all. And I do have to say there's something about, I don't care what sound system you have in your house, and we all go to great lengths to create the movie experience at home. And it is amazing that you can watch almost any movie that's out there from the comfort of your home, as long as you're willing to pay for some streaming service. It is pretty incredible. Do you want to add to that, Ed?
But the popcorn's not the same.
But
that is definitely true.
The
Extra butter
is not. You're right. The experience is not the same, whether it's the popcorn or, for me, it's the boom of the explosion that might happen during a particular movie that you literally feel rumble in your chest. That is an experience of watching a movie that it's so difficult to duplicate at home.
Well, my father used
to. And I got to add one more, which is the conversations that take place in the hallway after the film.
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons why our films are at 7:00. We're usually done by about 9:30, and I don't get home till at least 10 because
everyone
wants to talk about it afterwards, especially if it's about a place they've never seen before or a subject they've never thought about. Yeah, it's fun, it's pleasurable, it's stimulating, it's challenging, and doing that in a room full of strangers on a big screen, still something about it you can't beat.
All right, very cool. And it's every Thursday night beginning just around the corner next week on September 2nd.
Absolutely. 7:00. Did I mention they're free?
I don't think you mentioned that. I don't think that came out. How about is there a website where people can go and pull up the schedule?
Yeah, if you just go to Utica College, you can go to utica.edu/film @UC. So utica.edu/film @UC. All the films are detailed. There's a quick synopsis, dates, times. It emphasizes that admission is free, in case I didn't mention that. There's little film, stills. You can get a sense of the film. I would just say, if you haven't seen a film from other countries before, don't be intimidated by it. People make great films all over the world. You have a terrific time.
Jeff Miller, thank you, Professor. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Bill. My pleasure.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Jeff Miller at Utica. And I've never heard of this before. Have you?
I haven't either, but I'll tell you what,
Utica
College, what an asset Utica College is to our area.
It.
Bill, that's the reason our family's in this area.
Your family?
My grandfather was one of the 4 professors from Syracuse University that was sent to Utica.
I did not know that.
To start Utica College on Oneida Square.
Pretty awesome right there.
I believe in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
started
is awesome.
in I believe it was the Bethesda Church in some of their
classroom space.
And look
where they are right now.
Yep.